Welcome to Packer Nation Postgame ONE. The Packers do, in fact, find a way to beat the Eagles 30-16. I mean, it's a good score. Not quite as satisfying as maybe I think we would have hoped. This is a Packers team that could very well have utterly stomped the Eagles when you have a performance by Carson Wentz. He was 6 of 15 for 79 yards in this one. Jalen Hurts comes in, gives a little bit of a boost. He's 5 for 12 for 109 yards. One touchdown, and then one interception. Of course, we all saw the Darnell Savage athletic, well played. I just loved watching that interception at the end of the game. Very athletic, great hands. This is 3 in 2 games for Darnell Savage, and things coming around for the young man. It's good to see. Now, this is a Packer team now. The Seahawks lost. The Saints, however, won. I was hoping that the Saints would lose this one. Jump on in and say hi if you have. I'm going to say hi to everybody on the line. And we've got Packer Nation Postgame ONE. We've got potentially guest coming on. Folks are here. We got a couple live. We got 7 registered. It's good to see everybody jump on in. Packers, of course, with a 30-16 win. You know, we had one defensive series that, Jair Alexander kind of let get behind him, and I've got all kinds of notifications coming in, mostly about the Packer game, which was yet another win. Packers now move to 9-3 on the season over the Eagles, who are now 3-8-1, and take control, continue to maintain control of the NFC North. And this is a team that has, one game to catch up the Saints, and then we're in the pole position. Now, I don't know that I necessarily see it happening, but you got to get these games. You got to beat the teams that are in front of you. And this is a Packers team that now has several home games in a row. We get to play several at Lambeau Field. December is coming. The weather today, only 7-mile-an-hour winds. It's the first time we've had really what I think is favorable conditions in terms of, the Green Bay Packers playing at Lambeau Field. That hasn't necessarily been the case. And so, yeah, Packers get win number 9 in the books. And we got the Pack Daddy on with us. Good to see you, Ryan. What is up, man? What do you think of this one?
Oh, I was muted. Feeling pretty good about it. It feels like another one of those games where all the bad things are going to stick out in our mind. The fact that it got close, another fourth quarter scare fest and special teams and all that. But yeah. I mean, just look at this thing. It's 16-30, and if you take away the special teams gaffe, it's 30-9. Right. So yeah. I'm feeling okay about this.
Yeah, and I thought, you had the one series, and I think Jair Alexander, you're kind of asking yourself, how do you let somebody get deep on you? You had Savage coming over the top. But listen, this is basically one play out of this entire game, and like you say, and this is a Philadelphia Eagles team that still, even with 3 wins, is still not mathematically out of the running. And after the showing they had last week, I thought we were going to get their best shot. I really feel like 16 points probably is their best shot. And it's good to see the Packers offense go out there and score 30.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was again, there's a couple things you'd like to see cleaned up. I'd like to see some better play calling in the fourth quarter, but right. I mean, it's about as good as you can expect. And they kind of talked about it a little bit in this game. The Eagles are a little bit underrated, especially if you talk about their run game. They're a very good running team, and I thought the Packers did a good job containing that. And their defensive line is pretty stout, and it was tough running. And it was tough protecting Aaron Rodgers, but at the end of the day, they ran well, and Rodgers was on his feet for most of the game. So I very few complaints.
Yeah. If you asked me if I would have thought, Aaron Jones would have a career-high rushing touchdown in this game, right. It would not probably be the game that I picked. And really, that was a slow developing, I didn't think he was going to get there kind of a play.
Right.
It's good to see the young fella get in the end zone. He had 130 yards on the ground on 15 carries, an 8.7-yard average. Of course, it's all offset by the big one, the 77-yarder or whatever it was. But, yeah, some hard running. I was with you, kind of that east to west stuff and throwing behind the line of scrimmage in the fourth quarter, I'm not really a fan of. But, they continue to roll on offense. You really would have thought we could have scored some more points, but, we scored 10 in the fourth, which, that's good to see. really the first quarter was the only quarter we got blanked on in this one, and we scored 14 in the second. This is kind of the Packers offense that we're expecting. Multiple touchdowns potentially by quarter. And both teams, of course, missing a PAT in this one. A little bit interesting. But Aaron Rodgers, 25 of 34, 295 yards, and 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. Once again, just highly efficient in this game. And it's good to see him continue to roll.
Yeah, no, I think that with the points, even that, a lot of that comes down to special teams. The Packers are starting way too often within the 20-yard line. Every single time. So they got to drive all the way down the field. So instead of 5 touchdowns, we get 3. So that's why, you know, they've been dominant the whole game, and all of a sudden 1 touchdown, and it's like, whoa, this game isn't over. On the flip side, the Eagles, how many times are the Eagles starting close to the 50-yard line? So, you know, and that's another credit to the defense. There were several times they were on one side in just about field goal range. The one time they got taken out of field goal range because of a couple sacks. The other time, within like one play, they're past the 50-yard line. Preston Smith gets a tackle for a loss. They end up punting from behind the 50-yard line. So field position was terrible. And it, you know, and again, it was a great game. And if you can clean up the special teams, we're talking about what? 3 to 40. So I don't want to complain too much, but it does need to get cleaned up because you can't beat better teams if you're giving them the ball at the 40-yard line and we're having to come out from the 5. That's not going to work.
Yeah. The special teams continues to be, I mean, this is becoming, you know, again, obviously we've talked about defense again and again and again, but really the defense is on the move. If I was, you know, their arrow was pointing up as far as I'm concerned. You had Preston Smith with arm in front of the ball, that Darnell Savage with an athletic interception. That's 3 in 2 games out of him.
Yep.
Things are really looking up. But yeah, the special teams are a concern to me. You know, again, this is 7 points basically that comes off of one play. Although I will say JK did a little better job bottling up the return.
he's taking a step.
You know, he's taking a step. Next time, maybe he'll actually shoot it and get a shot. I don't know.
He touched him a little bit.
He did. He got a hand on this time. If he could have just grabbed his arm, he could have dragged him to the ground. But at that point, I mean, it was down to the 12-yard line at worst anyway. So yeah, I mean, I think other than special teams in this one, Sean Meninga, I think, has some things to answer for. But this was a good scheme, I think, all around offensively. Like you, I wasn't real fond of the fourth quarter necessarily, but and you know, you've got obviously Devontae Adams is Adamsing out there. He's just doing what he does. 10 receptions, 121 yards. I mean, and 2 touchdowns in this one. One of which I think was Aaron Rodgers' 400th. Is that not correct?
Yeah,
one of his.
His 400th. Yep.
Yeah. So they're piling up accolades, but the offense in particular still seems to be hungry for more. Alan Lazard, 3 catches, 50 yards, 16.7-yard average in this one. And then you got Tanyan with another touchdown in this one. Just finding an open spot in a zone, throwing up a hand, catching a touchdown. That's what we haven't seen tight ends do a whole lot in the recent Packers past. It's good to see.
Yeah, the biggest complaint I have with the fourth quarter really is it seems like when we get halfway through the fourth quarter and we have a lead, for some reason in their mind they think, 6 minutes, we can probably burn that. Let's run the ball.
Yeah.
No, dude, you can't do that. No. They're scoring. I mean, 1 minute is more than enough time to get touchdowns. We're talking several touchdowns here. Yep. So, you know, they have really bad corners, and they just lost 2 corners to injury. Right. And we decide we're going to take our foot off the gas. We're going to run the ball, and then throw wide receiver screens. Keep attacking them. They cannot stop us. So it's kind of minor given the fact of how it all turned out. But, I mean, you can't do that. You know, we heard the all gas, no break. Let's see it. Keep attacking them. They're not going to stop you. And really, that final drive, that's what we saw, right? They did run the ball, and they did get that touchdown, which I was screaming, stop running the ball, so egg in my face a little bit. But, you know, what did they do? Rather than run the ball and punt, they converted the first down, kneel down. There you go.
Right. Yeah. This was my game plan for this one. I don't know about you, but I was, just throw all over these guys all day long. And then Slay was already injured, and then he goes out. That would be my probably one negative criticism of this game plan too. It's just, I want to see Matt LaFleur just, when there's blood in the water, just circle the sharks, finish this thing off. Again, as you said earlier, we scored 30 points.
Yeah, no,
basically 9.
We're nitpicking. We're tweaking for the playoffs is all we're doing. And speaking of blood in the water, I want to give some props to our defensive coordinator for once, because he gets a lot of hate. he was really attacking Carson Wentz.
Sure
Carson
was.
Wentz was hearing footsteps, and he saw that. There was blood in the water, and they just kept coming after him and coming after him. And even if they weren't getting home, he was so rattled. You kind of felt disappointed when they pulled him because, man, we just had him. We had him wrapped around our finger. It was brutal. I mean, it was kind of painful to watch, although I was smiling, which is a little bit sadistic, but it was a lot of fun to watch. And again, he doesn't do that. There are opportunities for us to just attack, and he doesn't. So again, props moving forward, when those opportunities arise, he's going to unleash the hounds, and they pull through. Like you said, Preston Smith has been showing up. Rashawn Gary's been showing up. When you cut these guys loose, they make plays. So I'm glad that they're starting to cut them loose a little bit.
Yeah, cut them loose a little bit. And with all the, criticism Pettin's been having, even the touchdown that we gave up in this one was more, I think, just personnel, just a mental error. And we basically forced what was 2 years ago an MVP candidate off the field. I mean, they took him out of this game.
Right. And he may have lost his job because of this game.
Yep, that's what I was saying too, is like in a COVID year with as much money as this guy is getting paid to do this, it starts to not make sense for the Eagles at some point. And even the spark that, what did Jalen Hurts, 5 of 12 for 109 yards, 1 touchdown, and he had the interception that basically was forced by our defense. The spark, if you want to call it, that he brought really was not that much either. I never felt like this game was out of reach.
No, it flamed out pretty quick, didn't it? You worry about what he can do with his legs, and so then you don't really want to attack too much, and you kind of worry about putting too many in coverage. So you got guys spying, and it kind of caught the Packers off guard, and they had to get their footing a little bit. But after a while, it wasn't working for him either.
Right. Yeah, so all in all, a good performance, and we had Dallas Goedert had 5 receptions for 66 yards. Greg Ward had the touchdown. Jalen Reagor, of course, we understand what happened on special teams, so that's a whole different story, but he had 1 catch other than that for 34.
Yep. And
Zach Ertz 2 for 31. So a defense that I think, is coming into their own potentially at the right time, or getting, hitting their stride. I don't know if you talked about it, but I've been talking about the fact that there are some butts in the seat at Lambeau Field, and I really think that matters, even though it's not a full crowd. But this is Lambeau Field testing the water to potentially have some more folks back. How important do you think that is running down the stretch going into a playoff run?
Yeah, I have been talking about it a little. It seems silly to even say because what are there, like 40 people in the stands? Yeah. But no, I mean, there's no question. If you go back and look at 2019, look at home when the crowd is on its feet screaming on a critical 3rd down. I would say 75% of the time you're getting a Zadarius or Kenny or somebody gets a sack. Those guys get so fired up. They really do love playing for a home crowd. They love the noise. I can't imagine there's too much, but they're hearing "Go Pack Go." They're hearing, and they got their own sideline going. These guys need that energy. And the last time the defense had a bad performance, the head coach went up to the podium and said he was disappointed in the energy, specifically the sideline, that these guys weren't even standing up making noise in a critical time. So they feed off that, right? And when they're not getting it from their sideline and from the stands, they don't play as well. So I do think, even though it's a small thing, it is helping, and the sooner we can pack fans in there, the better this is going to get.
Yeah, and I mean, this is a team right now stands at 9-3. Was hoping the Saints would drop today. They did not do that for me. But this is a team that if it comes down to a head-to-head, we've already beat the Saints once in this season. This team is as primed as any NFC team out there, I think, right now to make this run and make the season special.
Yeah, I mean, it's Saints Packers right now is really it. I don't know if you saw the Seahawks, they're done. They're cooked. I've been talking about them. It looks like they're falling apart. They just lost to the Giants. Just at home? No, cancel
at home.
Just call it.
Yep. Yeah, and a Seahawks team that I can't take anything away from Russell Wilson. He did everything he could to carry that team offensively. Obviously, Metcalf is a really solid player, but they've got no defense. They're not the same kind of team as the Green Bay Packers.
Right.
Packers have the same stud quarterback position at the most important position in football. Our defense is headed in the right direction as opposed to them. Right. And I think we're starting to feel that this is a team that's for real right now, where I mean, 2 or 3 weeks ago, we go up against the Colts and we were all pissed off about that. But to be quite honest, that was a pretty dang good game against a really darn good team. And we took them into overtime. And potentially, if we had to play that game at home, that's a win for us as well. This is a pretty dang good team right now.
Yeah, no, I agree. That Colts game had the opportunity to be the first spark. I mean, I've talked about it before. They scored 28 points and a half. Only one other team has put up more than that in an entire 4 quarters. This offense, I mean, and again, it comes down to consistency and bad decisions at bad times and all that kind of stuff. But man, even on a bad day, you can see something and you just look at it and say, this is a different kind of team, not just in 2020 or in the NFC. I'm talking historically. You look at 2011. Devontae is the best wide receiver I've seen. This might be the best version of Aaron Rodgers we've ever seen.
Right.
Just across the board, Aaron Jones, you look at this offensive line, how few times, what is it? We're up to 6 or 7 sacks now because of that slide is considered a sack. That's got to be a low. You got Jair Alexander. When's the last time we had it? I mean, it's a special team, and that's why I really want to emphasize that we're nitpicking. Because to complain about this, I mean, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. This is an unbelievably special team, and they got a real chance of making a run here.
Yeah, and, we saw last year where maybe the offense wasn't 100% up to speed necessarily. Maybe the defense was playing better. But one thing that I think was very important last year was, Matt LaFleur, you got to give him credit. He has the dynamic of this team is something way different than it was under Mike McCarthy. And that's no knock on Mike McCarthy, but these guys this is a band of brothers right now. Yep. And I think that on a playoff run, that is one of the most important things. And yeah, this team is primed. They're ready to go.
Yeah, it's another dynamic. They really do get along, which actually is important. We saw how bad it gets when they're not getting along under McCarthy. Right. So you got that. You've got the fact that the scheme is finally clicking, right? Year one, it was a little bit clunky. These guys got the scheme dialed in. We got the personnel, because anybody can pick up a Matt LaFleur playbook and Madden and start calling plays, but you got to understand how it works mentally from the players working with each other, and you got to have the right personnel. And you think about how top tier the scheme is, then you add in Aaron Rodgers, you add in Devontae Adams, and it's just like, the potential is unbelievable, and we're seeing it. That's why this is one of the best offenses you're going to see in a very long time, and we need to appreciate it, because it's just everything is coming together right now in just this beautiful fashion, and it's fun to watch.
It is fun, and and I know it's pure speculation really at this point, because Tavon Austin wasn't even active today. However, just a guy with athleticism in the role of, say, a Tyler Ervin, who again I think got hurt in this game on that return. I think.
Yeah.
Obviously it's going to take a little bit, but I really do think there is the potential for a guy like that to be a little bit of a difference maker down the road. Not expecting huge things out of him, but you don't need it. We've seen this offense. It's functioning at a very high level. And Tyler Ervin has been largely missing from that jet sweep action. We've replaced him with EQ. Devontae's out there doing it. MVS is doing that. But if you get a guy that can go out there with, legit elite speed, if he's still got it, he says, if I'm not a 4.2, I'm still a 4.3. That's serious fast.
Right.
I just think Matt LaFleur and maybe a little bit of energy that a new guy brings, he's fighting for his career in the NFL right now, might be pretty good timing for the Green Bay Packers and Brian Gutekunst fulfilling his promise to leave no stone unturned for the Green Bay Packers. Not that we need him to score points, but might be an interesting play down the road for the Green Bay Packers.
Yeah, it's funny because my automatic instinct is to get everybody to calm down a little bit because, look, we know he was a first-round pick and all that, but come on, we've seen he's where he is for a reason. Right. However, you say that exact same thing about Tyler Ervin. He went from team to team, and he never had a place, and nobody could figure out how to use him, and it just wasn't working out. We get Tyler Ervin, and you start looking at all these other teams like, what were you guys doing with him? He's awesome. Mm-hmm. He's a great return guy. He's great on this. So, and the other thing with Tavon Austin, you think about his first couple years, he's expected to be the number one wide receiver. He's the guy. He's the Devontae Adams and then some. Right. So we're not asking him to do any of that. He's doing, little gadget plays. You're looking at Devontae, you're looking at Aaron Jones, you're looking at all these other playmakers. You're looking at Tunyon before you look at this guy. So it's, he's being asked to do a lot less. And, there is a potential that we find a role for him. And like you said, he's not going to be this difference maker. He's not going to be the number one guy, but he has the ability to come in here and just take over that specific role, which is actually pretty important, and just help give us that extra dynamic that's going to help keep things moving along. Because every once in a while, the offense kind of gets clunked up, but you get that extra little thing. It's just another way that you can't stop this offense is all it is.
Yeah, a guy that fast can outflank any inside linebacker in the business. And it's the way that Matt LaFleur takes guys like that. And I would have never thought that not having Tyler Ervin, I would think there was really any much difference in this offense.
Right.
But there just really has been. And maybe a tiny little bit of a spark would be nice. I don't know that we necessarily need it, but again, part of what we're doing here too is just managing the players' bodies. We've got a guy that has not been, he's been getting well, he's been getting healthy, he is healthy, and he hasn't had to play week in and week out. We've got several of those guys. Alan Lazard is one of those guys, Aaron Jones, Devontae Adams being managed. And I think I was actually surprised to see Zadarius Smith go today. I kind of would have thought LaFleur might have held him back, would not have been against it, but this is a team that is also, and this is contrary to my intuition. We got a week 5 bye. I would have thought we would have been the most run-down team in the league by now because we were looking bad going into the bye. It's an early bye, but we're actually, I think, trending in the right direction in terms of health as well.
Yeah, and I see there's a comment there that I think that is probably the most important thing. We want to win games and you want to look good and you want to dominate and all those things. But really, like you said, this team is ready. They needed to hit a certain – every team, you got to get to a certain point of readiness. If you're going to actually make a run, they're there. The most important thing right now is health. So like you said, I wouldn't have been opposed. And even if you told me, like if you gave me the option and you said, okay, Zadarius Smith, we can go back in time, we can hold him out, and you lose the game, or Zadarius Smith is injured, it's not even a question. We tank this game to the Eagles, and we keep Zadarius healthy. So, again, health is the most important thing at this point in time.
Yeah, for sure. Well, the Packers definitely in about as good a position as they could consider themselves to be in or could wish to be in at this point. And again, double digits in the fourth. We had a little bit of a lackluster first quarter offensively, not scoring as many points, but we pitched 2 quarters of shutout football and they only scored 3 points in the first. So we gave up the 13 in the fourth. But yeah, defense playing good football right now. And as much criticism as Mike Pettin has gotten, I said, in terms of Mike Pettin, I did in the back of my mind think perhaps he was kind of holding things a little bit close to the vest. Maybe as we turn the corner the second half of the season, that he was going to potentially be a little bit more aggressive. I think we've seen bits and pieces of that. Mostly, I just feel like this defense is starting to get its feet under it and get back to where they were last year, where they were dominant at times, and mostly making plays when they needed to make plays. And that's been good to see.
Yeah, and you could almost say they've been sneaky good because I think that Colts game is really sticking out in people's minds, that 34 points, because you look at this game, again, you take away the special teams play and they didn't score hardly anything. You look at the Bears, only got to 25. You look at the Jaguars, they scored 20, but that was also a special teams touchdown. So that's only actually 13 points. They gave up 17 to the 49ers. 28 to the Vikings was a loss. 28's not that much to a really good offense like that, and 20 to the Texans. So we're looking at, since about week 7, October 25th, there's really only been one bad game, only really 2 since the bye week when you look at Tampa Bay. So, yeah, I would say, they've been getting a lot of guff, but they've had 2 bad games since the bye, and they've been pretty stout ever since. So, yeah, they deserve maybe a little bit more credit than they're getting. And like you said, they're still just kind of getting their stride. So the arrow's still pointing up.
Yeah, and good things on the horizon, leaning into December now with more home games. We had a kind of a spate of having to travel and be away from Lambeau Field. And then what we saw, like you highlighted, we had, probably our worst game, the Vikings game at Lambeau Field. Now we're starting to see a little bit of a turnaround in terms of picking up that Lambeau Field advantage, which I think really always should be there. But we did kind of see that, and I think you talked about it on your podcast, do you want this team to play at home? At some point I was questioning this. Do you want this team to play at home, or would you rather have them play on a fast track without any environmental concerns, wind, cold, things like that on a fast track might have been better, but getting good and being good at home going to be real important for the Packers' chances down the stretch here.
Yeah, and you got to feel good about the stretch too. And again, I'll reiterate how important the injuries are because you look at it, you've got the Detroit Lions that are coming up. They have not been doing very well at all, and you just saw how bad it was when they got smoked by the Bears, who we just beat.
Right.
The Carolina Panthers have been an absolute nightmare. Did beat the Lions 20-0. They have lost every other game since week 5, so they're in absolute implosion mode. The Tennessee Titans are a pretty good team. They're a playoff team, but I was shocked to see the score. They actually came back, but they were losing like 35 to I don't know what. They were getting going out pretty bad. But even if you say that that's the one tough game, you follow it up with the Bears. I mean, pending an implosion, there's no reason why we have any more than one loss coming up. So I think we're in a great position to have a great record and possibly get home field advantage. And if we can be healthy, I mean, as far as the NFC North, the AFC teams, whether it's the Chiefs or the Steelers, is going to be a tough Super Bowl matchup. But I mean, they've got everything they need right now to battle this out and win the NFC.
Yeah, definitely. Right on the plate in front of them, like you say, they got to play the away game against the Lions. You can't see a team that's on this kind of a tear. And before the season began, I don't know about you, but I would have been saying, listen, the Lions always find a way to make it difficult for us. Right. I don't know how. I don't know why. I can't explain it except that Matt Stafford, I think, is an underrated quarterback oftentimes, and they do have some offensive weapons, but you can't see us dropping one to the Lions. That Carolina Panthers game, I think I would have been a little bit more afraid of when I watched the Panthers earlier in the season.
Right.
But yeah, like you, I've got that Tennessee Titans game as basically – not just the toughest test, but it's one that I'm going to be watching to see how the Packers handle a team that is going to be a run-first team. And that's going to be an interesting one with Derrick Henry coming to Lambeau Field. But again, it's at Lambeau Field. We've got the Packers at Lambeau Field, and then we got to come back to the Bears in Week 17. By then, we don't know what the situation will be, but those Week 17 NFC North matchups have been super important. And this one may not be, but again, we're playing for it. We've got the Saints in our sights right now, and I do think there's an opportunity for us to take that top spot. With that said, you can just give your 2 cents on the importance of, again, this is the first year, number 1 seed is going to be the only team with a bye week. We have this 2 years of bye weeks where we don't play good, but then we've also got some mini buys after Thursdays. Maybe we're not great. For my money, I am always taking a free win with no risk of injury. And I want the Packers, if they can at all do it, get that number 1 seed.
Yeah, I don't think I get it. I completely understand. I'm a somewhat superstitious person, and you always kind of worry about them kind of resting and just kind of getting out of that rhythm that they got themselves into, and then the additional curse that the Packers have had coming off of buys. But like you said, I mean, you're being handed a free win, essentially. Would you like this free win? What are you going to say? No. On top of that, like you said, you got home field advantage, which is important. So right. I understand the fears and all that kind of stuff, but you absolutely want it and you want to take it. And I also, like what you said, I haven't really considered it. Every single year for quite a while now, there's always that team nipping at our heels, or we're trying to fight back and win the North. And it's been a heated battle. And this is the first time in a while the Packers are kind of running away with this. I mean, things can change, but
right.
You've got the Bears, the Vikings, and the Lions, who are all just seemingly in implosion mode. I mean, the Bears just got annihilated by the Packers, who then just annihilated the Lions, and the Vikings are looking terrible. I know they came back, but it's just looking ugly across the NFC North, and it doesn't look like there's going to be much of a fight. So we're going to probably walk away with the North, and hopefully we got a shot. The Saints are kind of on a tear right now too. I don't know if they're going to drop a game, but we're battling for it. I don't know if we're going to drop one either. So we'll be at their heels.
Right. And we had been looking at the Saints schedule a little bit too. I think that they do have to play the Chiefs on the 20th, right before Christmas. They've got the Packers or the Panthers in there. They got the Vikings in there, wouldn't
that just be the most beautiful thing if the Vikings got us the number. I'm going to be the biggest Vikings fan in the world on that day.
Oh, man. It would be the best way after that horrible performance at Lambeau Field against the Vikings to have them actually go out and win one, still do nothing with their season, and send the Packers home for Christmas and all the way through the playoffs. Yeah, it would be.
And just how mad the Vikings fans are going to be that their team won. They're going to be rooting against themselves in that game.
I believe, my friend, you have crossed paths more with Vikings fans, commentators, probably on YouTube and whatnot, than I have to. I don't have to deal with it too much unless they troll my show. But boy, would you have some fun dealing with those guys at that point.
No, that would be now I'm excited. Now I'm really excited. We'll have to see how this shapes up as far as wins and losses, but I get the sneaking suspicion, like you said, especially, and this is what's the real poetic part about it, if the Packers can hold off the Titans, I think they do lose to the Chiefs, which is going to put us neck and neck, which means that Vikings game is going to be really, really critical. So is that going to be a good game? I'm excited about that. Oh, and look at what day that's on.
Which one, the Vikings? Oh, yeah, Christmas
That's
Day.
Christmas Day.
Yeah. Oh, Santa. You know what I want. Oh, I tell you what. And I think you had to deal with some people early, too, because, I mean, this is the same Vikings team. This, again, I'm just going to play off this because this is the same Vikings team that thought they were going to win the North because they got Yannick Ngakoue. You know, and then they had to offload him halfway through the year after trading for him. It's good to see those guys in purple pull this kind of stuff.
I got beat up real bad at the beginning of the season, and you never know how it's going to go. They could have had a good season, but I was just looking at it, and I'm like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. This is not a good football team. It's not a good defense. Yannick Ngakoue is not that good of a football player. I got a YouTube video about it. I got destroyed in the comments section with my video when they got him saying, this guy's not that good, and he's not going to help you, and your defense sucks, and your team sucks, and they just lost it. Well, there you go.
There you go. Yeah. Well, hey, congrats. Next year, you might have Danielle Hunter back. So, hey, it's all going to work.
Yeah, you'll be all right. You'll be fine.
Yeah. Why don't you tell everybody where we can get a hold of you? I've got the Packer Nation podcast link up here on the feed. So if anybody wants to do – or PackerNet podcast. But, yeah, let us know what you're up to all around. I know you got a Patreon page and all of that. Let us know what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing, I'd love if you guys would check out the PackerNet podcast every single day. I'm doing it 7 days a week. I am going real hard into YouTube right now. It's mostly draft content, but I do have some Green Bay Packer stuff. It's Pack Daddy NFL, so I'm going real hard on that. Otherwise, I mean, if you want to follow me on social media, it's Pack_Daddy on Twitter. I do like to the biggest appeal I have on there is the day the PFF grades come out. I'm blasting those all over the place, so that's somewhat interesting. But Packernet podcast Facebook group and Facebook page. But again, if you wouldn't mind checking out that podcast, that'd be great. We have a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's good stuff. We'll have to cross-post your link here, too. I've got it here for the Crowdcast feed, but that's not as big as the Facebook page. We got to get you. It's a good podcast. I recommend it to everybody. And like you say, I mean, it's interesting because, you say I go 7 days a week and you do that yourself. Like, I mean, there's the package. Right. It's like, well, I think there's about 15 folks that work that podcast. It's a little bit different than you and I. We're doing it all on our own, and it's good stuff that you're putting out.
Yeah, I've never. Glad you said it because I've never called him out for that. But I'll give him a hat tip. I see, and this is the thing that bothers me. I started it before they did, doing it every single day, but I missed a couple days because like you said, I'm doing it by myself. So I was for probably 6 months, I was holding the title of every day longer than they were with their big old team, but they do a good job. I just, I'm bitter that I gave up that title to them. So
yeah, that's right. And I'm the same, because I love what they do. And there's such a lot of good, Packers content out there too.
There is.
But, I started counting videos because I started hearing other people count it. I was looking at like 2,000 videos, not including we've been doing this stuff a little bit too. We've been doing it. Right. And yours, I'm sure, daily has grown really fast.
We're actually we're creeping up on 1,000. I have it set up right now. I'm missing one day, but I'll make it up at some point. If I continue doing every day and do one makeup, Super Bowl Sunday is going to be episode 1,000. So
all right,
be sure to be around for that. That's going to be a fun day.
Oh, heck yeah. We need to make that some kind of a blowout show on Super Bowl Sunday. We ought to, we ought to.
We got to start planning right now for that one.
Yeah. And again, I don't think, there's a point, you get to December football And there's a point at which you're not being unrealistic anymore. Like this is real right now.
Yeah.
This is a team that should win, 3 of the next 4 games at least or whatever. Maybe we run the table and potentially get that first round bye. But with a win against the Eagles' back was against the wall. I figured we'd get a pretty tough shot from them. And again, kind of like the Bears, that was a good defense. But I think part of it was we took their soul, I think, at some point. They just didn't have anything left.
That's
Eagles
absolutely right. No, that's a great way to put it. I mean, and again, you look at it and some people are going to nitpick and all this stuff. You want to know how this game went? Go look at the Eagles sideline. That tells you everything you need to know. Those guys were so defeated. Their quarterback is done. Their season is done. Their coach is worried about his job. They got annihilated in this game. So for whatever thing you're upset about, trust me, they're having a much worse day than we are right now.
That's for sure. Yeah, and Eagles fans, a much worse season for sure. So, well, with that, I will call it. But it's been great to have you on. We will continue to do this, I'm assuming, for the rest of the season and into the postseason, if you're willing.
Yep.
Having a lot of fun on what could be a really special Green Bay Packers 2020 season in the midst of it's been real hairy for a lot of teams in a lot of ways, including ours during this season. But the Packers are navigating this, I think, as well as anyone could expect as of right now.
Yeah, I'm excited. I don't know how we're going to do a post game show after we win the Super Bowl, but we'll have to figure that one out. That's going to be a lot of fun. But no, I'm having a good time, and I'm looking forward to doing this for a while.
All right, sounds good. We got Jeff on here. He says 2 best guys in the biz.
Oh yeah,
so,
I know Jeff. He's a good man.
yeah. And full disclosure, he's actually my cousin too. So all
right then. I guess I should have seen that, but there you go.
Yeah. Well, we will continue to do this. This is a lot of fun. And hopefully, the Packers again come back, continue to stay healthy, get healthy. I was going to go over, I actually did bring up the injury report because we do have some guys that if they were to get, that extra week off, we know, Kevin King has the Achilles still kind of hanging around. Mm-hmm. We've heard Zadarius Smith, again, questionable today. You get a week off, and these guys could be up to 100%. I mean, we should be really happy pretty much with where we're at, and even expecting potentially to get Corey Linsley back at some point, potentially in the off season. Looks pretty good for the Green Bay Packers.
So far, it's all good.
All right, man. Well, it's been good talking to you. It's been good talking to all you Packer fans out there on another Packer win. So, Ryan, you will be up before me. So, congratulations. You get to do another Victory Monday podcast. So, enjoy.
Well, it's good to be able to flesh out some of my thoughts and get some of your thoughts that I can steal for the show tomorrow.
Absolutely. Hey, it's all good, right? Yeah. All right. We will talk to you guys again soon, and I'll talk to you again. Ryan, take care, man.
All right. Take care. Thanks.